There are a lot of controversial opinions in gaming, but here's one that's probably not. Jetpacks in games are pretty much always awesome. The feeling of being able to boost off the ground and add a whole other dimension to traversal is usually incredibly fun. Only where appropriate, obviously. I think flying Ellie across the country in The Last of Us Part 1 probably would have lacked a certain emotional nuance, but in loud, bombastic action games, there's little I like more than being able to fly, however briefly. So given this highly nuanced, deeply riveting take on being able to go zoom into the sky at my digital leisure, my simple monkey brain's first impression of Gunhead was, oh fuck, I get a jetpack, this is gonna be awesome! And since you're awesome, if I do say so myself, maybe you'd have some interest in checking out our Patreon in the link below and joining us in our goal of independent game coverage that's honest and free of the echo chamber's devious influences. Now, back to jetpacks. Gunhead. Yes, we're here to talk about Gunhead. Gunhead is a first-person shooting roguelike where you, a pirate mech with a tremendous arsenal of varied weapons, board randomly generated derelict spaceships filled with a unique variety of defense systems, tearing your way through and earning money for weapons, upgrades, and new classes of pirate mech. While each ship is generally just a very explodey playground to release your arsenal upon defense systems and unsuspecting drones, your approach to each one may vary depending on your goals. Each mission, while primarily focused on destroying a ship's core or taking out a big baddie boss, comes with lucrative side objectives that require you to change your approach if you want to earn some extra funds. For example, one mission may reward you an extra 12 grand if you destroy a particular system on board, like one which completely regenerates the layout of the ship every 60 seconds, requiring you to totally reform your plan of attack. Others may reward you for keeping certain systems intact by focusing only on your main goal and avoiding any guns blazing collateral damage. It's fun to form a plan and occasionally watch it go terribly wrong, and you'll want to at least try, since the side objectives are a major part of the income you'll get in the game if you want to be able to unlock all of what Gunhead has to offer. That is, assuming you end up caring for what Gunhead has to offer, because while the game is conceptually sound and has the base components to make a hell of a game, well, it has the base components and not much else. The core problem, which roots itself in the foundation of Gunhead and branches out into smaller issues from there, is that the game feels repetitive almost immediately. The exterior of each ship looks essentially identical, and the insides aren't a lot better. There seem to be pretty limited templates for room layouts, or else they look so similar that the differences become negligible pretty quickly. Although mixing up the mech classes can occasionally add some flavor to the proceedings, the reality of the matter is that Gunhead is a relatively small amount of good game, padded into a format that requires you to engage with minute variations of that content lots and lots of times to make tangible progress, and having to do so only highlights the cracks elsewhere. With roguelikes come the expectation of repetition, and with strong enough core gameplay they can sometimes get away with it. But I would say the core gameplay in Gunhead is average at best. As I mentioned, the best part of each ship you have to board is the planning out of your route and trying to keep your objectives in mind to come out of it with the highest possible payout. Even here we start to see some issues though. Not only are most objectives totally arbitrary with nothing in the way of motivation or explanation as to why my superiors will give me $10,000 for opening at most one locked door during my looting, but for reasons I couldn't understand, the payout promised in the 3D Slay the Spire-esque map that lets you progress through each run often changed once I actually started the run. I'm genuinely unsure if there's some weird payout scrambling mechanic I wasn't aware of, or if the game was simply gaslighting me. But even with that aside, the moment-to-moment gameplay is merely passable and nothing else. Movement and shooting don't feel especially satisfying, with jarring, needlessly complex level geometry that means you'll be bumping into walls a lot, and being hit by enemies you couldn't even see in advance. And while it's nice to have a big variety of weapons with dozens to unlock with the funds earned between ships, I didn't really love any of them, as they mostly felt sort of similar to shoot, and I felt equally effective or ineffective pretty much no matter what equipment I took into battle. On medium difficulty, I felt completely ineffective no matter what I did. Now, I'll freely admit that while I'm not awful, I don't think I'm particularly great at shooters, but medium difficulty in Gunhead felt brutal to me at times, with runs that ended really quickly unless I entered every situation with extreme caution, which, is more for slow-paced tactical shooters. With very little progress to show between runs, I happily switched to the easy difficulty, which sometimes felt just right, and other times felt completely trivial, like the boss I managed to kill in less than 30 seconds without taking a hit. While there are no real graphics options beyond VSync and a variety of quality presets, Gunhead at least runs decently on the Steam Deck, with a fairly stable 60 FPS in most situations with quality set to fastest. It's a pretty decent looking game too, repetitive environments aside. Environments and characters have a cartoony and colorful cel-shaded look that's overall effective. I can't say I love the sound design though, with extremely generic music overlaying each battle, and some sound effects like the firing of turrets found on the exterior of some ships being an absolute ear sore. Here's a quick taste of that one. Thankfully though, there are a few options to toggle, including key rebinding, a field of view slider, scalable aim assist, and mouse sensitivity tweaking for those who need it. I could spend some more time going over smaller issues like the mouse being unusable in some of the menus, bugs like enemies that on rare occasion jankily launched me through the roof of the ship or into the depths of space and prematurely ended my run, or the repetitive, uninteresting enemy design that makes fighting them get old pretty quickly, but frankly, I don't see the point. Because overall, what is the point is that Gunhead is a lot less interesting than it looks. It's utterly charmless and lacking in personality, with basically no plot and totally interchangeable, uninteresting characters. It lays out its entire hand fairly early on and repeats things ad nauseum from there, and is full of small, janky nuisances that make up a totally playable game, but one that's not especially fun. I'm not going to say it's bad, because I don't think every game has to either be good or bad, but it's the very definition of mediocre, and does nothing whatsoever to stand out in a very crowded genre. There are people out there who love a grindy, simplistic roguelike to power through while listening to a podcast or watching YouTube. Maybe this will appeal to them. For others, I'm not sure what this offers in a year so full of incredible, interesting releases. Those interested in the genre might find it to be worth a look, but there are probably a few dozen similar enough roguelikes they'll want to play first.
What the? I just lost the tyrant signal on my scanners! Oh, you're killed. That's why.